It was something I struggled with when my mother died. I was clean for years, and when my mother died, I took it hard, and I just didn't cope with it the right way. I know there's other ways to cope with it. I could talk to people, I can go to meetings, and the way I handled it.
When did you start using that?
How?
When?
My mother died in 22, I think, a little while after my mother died in August of 22.
You hadn't used it before then?
No, I did, Your Honor.
Huh?
Yes, I did, Your Honor, before then.
Okay. Why were you selling so much heroin and coke?
I did it for a friend.
What do you mean you did it?
It was a dealer that I did it for. He asked me to drop it off for drugs, and that was what I did for him.
So Gomez called you and asked you to do this?
Yes, he did, Your Honor.
Well, that's not how it happened.
He would text me. The two guys would text me. They would text each other, and then he would text me and ask me if I could meet John.
What do you mean, two guys?
The guy that I met at work.
Who's that?
John.
John who?
Sanders.
John Sanders. Where's
Yes.
John Sanders these days?
I have no idea, Your Honor.
Probably in prison. Okay. So how did you know John Sanders?
I met him at the factory I worked at, Pace Engineering in Willoughby, Ohio.
Okay. And so what does Sanders have to do with this?
He was going through Gomez, and then something happened between them two, and then Gomez would ask me if I could drop off drugs.
How did you know Gomez?
I met him 5 or 6 years ago
Where?
when I was using heroin. Before 2019.
Okay. And so how did Gomez happen to get a hold of you?
During that time, at the sales, Your Honor?
Yeah.
He would text me.
Why did you have his number? I mean, you were using heroin with Gomez back in 19 or so.
Yes.
And so if you stopped using heroin, why did you keep his phone number handy?
I can't exactly. Yeah, I know he went to prison, Your Honor, and I'm not sure how he reconnected after that. When he got out.
Well, you knew it was him texting you, right?
Oh, yes, I am.
Because you still had his number in your phone, right?
It wasn't like that, Your Honor. He got out of prison. Like? I think somebody that I knew met him again, and that was how we reconnected.
Okay. So you hadn't had any contact with Gomez in 5 or 6 years, right?
I think it was about 3 years. About 22, maybe 23 is when.
Okay. So from what you're telling me, you had been off drugs for a few years.
Yes, before, from 2019 till around the time my mother died.
Okay. So why would you get back involved with somebody who was a known drug peddler?
Just to get drugs.
What, did you feel the need to do Gomez a favor?
No, not at all.
Then why did you do it?
For drugs. He would give me drugs to do it, and that was why I did it.
How is it the CI knew to contact you then?
He didn't. I met him at work, and I gave him Gomez's number, and then like 2 months later, Gomez said something happened between him and John, and he asked me if I could meet John to drop it off. So John would call Gomez, and then Gomez would text me and ask me if I could drop it off at like 6 o'clock, and I would say yes. And then
Who set this up between him and the narcs?
It was a confidential informant. I just have his number is all I would have, Your Honor.
Okay. Who did you sell this stuff to?
John.
John Sanders?
Yes.
Jesus Christ! What do your records show from Brightview?
I'm not sure, Your Honor.
Well, you're going to Brightview, right?
Yes.
What are they going to say? What are you doing at Brightview?
I go to group
Fucking believable.
once a week. I do counseling. I go weekly now to to get my medicines. I go once a week. I told them, the doctor, that I wanted to try to set up a 6-month plan to get off of it. And she said that they send it to another team, but they don't do that there. And that the other team sent the records here. And then yesterday when I was there, the receptionist said that the probation officer was requesting more information, and I did not know about that until yesterday.
What information?
I am not sure. She just said that they were requesting more information.
What did you get from Brightview?
From Brightview, I received the treatment summary that Mr. Patika sent, and then last week they sent a monthly summary from July 27th to August 24th of 2025.
What does that show?
That shows that there were 3 group sessions scheduled, 1 was attended, 2 individual counseling sessions were scheduled, 0 were attended.
Why didn't you attend those?
I was maybe working, Your Honor.
What?
I was working at the time.
What good is a treatment plan if you don't participate in it?
I mean, I was going daily there, and it's, you know, they had their groups at 9 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. The scheduling is just kind of hard.
Why were you signed up for the group sessions?
They have group sessions every day of the week there.
I know. Why were you signed up for group
It's for your
sessions?
medicine. It's
What?
part of the program to go when you go to Brightview.
Okay, so why weren't you doing the program?
Because I was working. They would let you do it. If you told the doctor that you were working and you would talk to them about it, they would say that you don't have to do group that week.
Well, what's the point of going to Brightview?
It was to stay on my medicine. Because, you know, it was working. It was,
So it's strictly to get your methadone.
yes, and in the
So
states
none of the
now-
other stuff. What else? What was the one you went 1 out of 2?
The 1 out of 3 was the group sessions,
Okay.
0 out of 2 were the individual counseling.
Okay, so out of 5 things, 3 group and 2 individual, you went to 1 thing. Right?
Yes, you are.
And you went to 1 thing because you were working.
Yes, and I would talk to the doctor.
Because all the doctor does is peddle methadone, right?
She's a prescriber, and she, you know, you could talk to her. I could see my counselor for a few minutes. I could talk to the counselor that runs the group. It wasn't like I wasn't going to the hour session, but I was still checking in with the counselors and talking to them.
What do you mean checking in with the counselors?
They would ask you how everything's going, if you have any problems, how the medicine's working for you, if you need any help with doing anything, like getting rides, with your insurance, clothing, food, and stuff like that.
What else besides those 2 things, Ms. Crook?
Then he did attend all 4 scheduled physician appointments.
That's to get the meds, right?
Correct. But the release did not, release on file does not permit disclosure of the toxicology.
Why not?
I asked them, they told me to sign the releases. I signed what releases they...
Well, but not all the releases were signed. The release to get the toxicology results were not signed.
They didn't tell me that.
Here we go again. Didn't we run into this problem last time we were here? Okay. What did the toxicology test show?
My methadone use.
What else?
Cocaine use before, a little bit into April.
In April.
Yes.
Why are you still using cocaine?
I was having trouble, you know, I was worried about court, Your Honor. I didn't handle it the right
Worried
way.
about court. I mean, you're a veteran at going to court. You've been to court over and over most of your life. What are you worried about going to court for?
So, you know, I'm with my father. I don't want to leave my father. I don't want to leave my dog. I take care of the house.
Okay, what? See, you wouldn't have to worry about any of that crap if you stopped doing drugs. And if you were going to stop, the way to stop doing drugs is to participate in the treatment program, the entire treatment program.
Yes.
So you don't think it's important to go through the entire Brightview treatment program, right?
No, I do, Your Honor.
But you don't do it?
A couple groups I didn't attend, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. You went to 1 out of 3 group sessions. You didn't go to any of the individual sessions. So you don't place any value on that. So why would I have you continue or participate in any treatment when you don't bother showing up for it? What's the point?
Because I can do it, Your Honor. If
You
give
can
me
do
a chance
what?
to prove it, I can.
You can do what?
I can attend, I can do whatever is needed of me.
You just proved the last month that you don't attend.
I'm sorry about that, Your Honor.
Well, the least of my concerns is whether you're sorry or not sorry about it. The concern is that you knew you had to come to court and you still didn't do it. Now, I would think if you want to get off the drugs, that you would do it anyway to get off the drugs. And then it would be a little more important from the standpoint that you're going to be here. But you didn't do it anyway. If it were important to you, it would be a priority for you. So I have a hard time believing that Brightview gave you releases to sign but withheld the release on the toxicology. My guess is you just wouldn't sign the toxicology. That's my guess.
That wasn't the case, Your Honor.
No. So let's get back to, I can't believe that Sanders is a CI. Sanders' name has been floating around here as long as I've been here.
No, he was a CI, Your Honor. He was with the narcotics agent when I would meet him.
I know. I mean, it's the nature of the CI, but I'm very puzzled by this whole thing. So Gomez and Sanders are buddies. Gomez and Sanders get into some arguments, some falling out, so he has to go through you to get it?
That was what I was told through Gomez, Your Honor.
Gomez told you that?
Yes.
Okay. That's an awful lot of weight you're moving there.
Sanders would text Gomez to say what he wanted, and Gomez would text him the price, and then Sanders would ask Gomez if I could meet him, and Gomez would text me to ask
God damn, if you spent this much time engaging in treatment, you'd be a lot better off, okay? Rather than playing around with Sanders and Gomez. Where do you work?
with my father, self-employed.
Doing what?
Demoing, citing, small roofs.
So let me understand this. Your father knows you got a drug problem, right?
Yes, he does.
Okay, so did you explain to your father that you had a group session at Brightview in July and August? 2 of them? Did you explain to him that you had those and you had to go to them?
No, Your Honor.
No, why not?
I don't know, Your Honor.
You don't know. Well, who knows? Who can give me that answer?
Only I can.
So you didn't explain to him you had individual sessions,
Can I
right?
call for a second, Your Honor?
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
You did. Why not?
I don't know.
You didn't want to, because you didn't really want to go to Brightview anyway.
I was going to Braveview every day, though,
To get your methadone.
for 3 months.
To get your methadone.
Yes, Your Honor.
So as long as you take your methadone, everything's okay.
I guess, Your Honor.
You guess wrong, okay?
I mean,
Because you're taking the methadone and all along the way using cocaine.
Yes, Your Honor.
So it wasn't okay. And Brightview knew you were using cocaine, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. In April. You tell me April, but I don't know that. It could have been July and August, for all I know, because I don't have the results because you wouldn't sign a release.
Okay, sorry, Your Honor.
Sorry for what? Didn't we continue this so I could get the information I need?
Yes, you did.
And I don't have the information I need
No, you don't.
because you didn't sign a release.
All right, yes, that was...
Right. Now, I'm looking at these reports, okay?
Yes.
Because I sent you for a drug and alcohol evaluation. You know what the recommendation of that evaluator is?
What's that, Your Honor?
That you engage in an intensive outpatient treatment program. You know the commitment to an intensive outpatient treatment program is?
Yes, Your Honor.
What is it?
About 3 hours a day, 3 days a week.
Yeah, how are you going to do that if you're working? If you
I can
couldn't,
do
if
it.
you couldn't, if you missed in the course of a month 4 separate things at Brightview, how in the world would you do 3 hours a day, 3 days a week for 6 or 8 weeks?
That would make it my priority.
Now, why would I believe that you're going to make it a priority now? When you didn't leading up to this?
All you could, I'm not sure how, all I could say is that I would make it my priority.
Okay. You can say anything you want, that doesn't make it so.
I mean, I could show you.
The accurate predictor of what you're going to do is what you've done, not what you say you're going to do. It baffles me that you haven't made this a priority leading up to where you are now. Okay, you were arraigned on this case April 7th, so this case has been going on nearly 5 months. You know the importance of these cases, right?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Okay. How do you know the importance of these cases?
Because it's serious, serious charges I have against me.
Okay.
And
Well, here's how you know, because starting with when you were an adult, you had a theft in Euclid Municipal Court, you had a felony drug possession in Cuyahoga County, a bunch of probation violations, you had a felony theft in Lake County in 15, with probation violations that led you to serve a prison sentence for the violations. And when you get out, you get a petty theft in Mentor Municipal Court, a possession of cocaine here in 23, pled guilty in 24, I gave you 8 months in prison. You got out in January of 25. When you were here, when I sent you to prison on May 21 of 24, what I apparently was not aware of is that in 23 and early 24, you were committing these offenses, these drug sales. You had a concurrent Cuyahoga sentence to my sentence for drug possession. So the point of this part of the discussion was that you know full well what's on the line, and you ignored it anyway. So that's a pretty good predictor of what you're going to do.
I can do it. That I can get out the methadone in a few months' time and prove to you that I'm not the person you think I am, Your Honor.
You are the person who you are based on what you've done and what you've continued to do. Now, you got out of prison, you're right back on the cocaine.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. You've created who you are. You can change who you are, but if you were going to change who you were, then you would have put the effort into it. You ain't going to change by snapping your fingers.
I know that, Your Honor.
Right? Mr. Geigrich?
Thank you, Your Honor. In as much as the defendant just told you he was using cocaine while he was on bond, and he seems that the Brightview program isn't acceptable to him, the state of Ohio would not oppose community control, but would suggest probably JTP and NeoCap, maybe that might be what he needs to finally finish this chapter of his life. as much. He just got out of prison. He admitted to using cocaine while he's on bond, and he won't sign the release so that you can see that he was doing that. I think a more stronger control over the defendant to see that he successfully completes his community control, I think would be a suitable candidate for JTP and NeoCat. Thank you.
Mr. Fatika, anything else you want to say?
Oh, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, I've reviewed the pre-sentence report and the drug and alcohol evaluation. I received letters in support of Mr. Ryan. Listen to Mr. Ryan, I've listened to counsel. I've considered all the provisions in 29, 29, 11, 12, and 13. Your claim that you're a middleman in this thing doesn't ring true to me. Okay. But beyond that, even if that were true, I've gone through your record. You claim that you hadn't used opiates since 19, so 5 years, 6 years. Been on methadone all this time. I don't know why. Been on methadone all this time. I suspect that the provider, it's their interest to keep you on methadone all this time. But setting the methadone aside, okay, you quickly figured out that would have no effect on the cocaine use, so you just used cocaine. You went to prison in the interim and continued to use cocaine after you got out. You talk about wanting to get off the methadone, to get off the drugs, that you could do treatment, but you are in treatment and you don't do the treatment. You do a half-assed job, okay? You go and get the methadone, you get that drug, you use that drug, you go to 1 out of the 3 group sessions in the last month, you go to 0 individual counseling in the last month, you don't sign a release so I can see what the toxicology shows, and then you come here and you want me to put you in treatment that you're already in but won't comply with. So you have demonstrated to me that you are not amenable to community control. So on count 1, I'm going to sentence you to 24 months in prison. On count 7, 24 months in prison. Those will be concurrent to one another with credit for 6 days. And the costs are assessed. When you get out, you might be on post-release control for up to 2 years under the parole authority with conditions. If you violate, the parole authority could send you back to prison for up to 9 months for each violation, up to 1/2 of my sentence. If your violation is a new felony, you could get an additional consecutive prison sentence for the violation, the maximum of which would be the greater of 12 months or the time left under post-release control. The remaining charges are dismissed. Is there anything else, Mr. Geigers?
Forfeiture. Contraband.
Anything else, Mr. Fatika?
Your Honor, there's a mandatory fine. We submitted an affidavit of
All right, the mandatory minimum fines are imposed